Shanghai, October 26, 2023. Li Keqiang, former premier of the Chinese Communist Party, suffered a heart attack and, despite all efforts to save him, passed away in the early morning of the 27th. He was 68. Just over a month prior, a video of him visiting the Mogao caves in Dunhuang, Gansu was circulating online. His sudden death has raised many questions and speculations about heart disease. Videos of spontaneous public mourning are spreading online. Chinese observers have commented that Li Keqiang's death is shocking. It marks the end of 40 years of openness and reform. Xue Ning, a medical professional from Shanghai, disclosed to Radio Free Asia on October 27 that Li Keqiang was in good health and enjoyed swimming. After arriving in Shanghai, he stayed at the Dongjiao State Guest Hotel and suffered a heart attack while swimming on the 26th. Initially, his security detail attempted to provide aid before he was rushed to the nearby Shuguang Hospital, and Beijing was informed. Unfortunately, he could not be saved. Shuguang Hospital, a third-tier traditional Chinese medicine hospital located in Pudong, is a 13-minute drive from the hotel where Li Keqiang was staying. A video has leaked online in which a staff member of Shuguang Hospital shares some details of the events from Li Keqiang's admission until the departure of his hearse. According to the staff member, on the afternoon of October 26, while shopping at a store next to the emergency department, they noticed the hospital was heavily guarded. Police were stationed at every entrance. Even the small doors known only to internal staff were closed. Later, they learned from emergency department colleagues that Li Keqiang was here for treatment, having been brought from the Dongjiao State Guest Hotel on a stretcher, in a state of emergency resuscitation upon arrival. The staff member pointed out, our Shuguang Hospital is a mid-tier hospital. Its standards and facilities are not on par with hospitals such as Zhongshan, Huashan, and Ruiqi. We all thought that experts from Zhongshan would be called in, and indeed, specialists from other hospitals began arriving in the afternoon of the 27th. The staff member continued, the emergency department doctors didn't go home that night. They were still there in the morning. But currently, we can't get in touch with them. They've been in meetings all day and accompanying the hearse. At 12 p.m. on the 27th, the hospital was filled with black Passats, police cars, and SWAT vehicles. At 1 p.m., the People's Liberation Army Honor Guard arrived. Emergency medical staff were instructed to gather in new white coats. At 2:30 p.m., the hearse began to be decorated, a process that took less than 10 minutes. By 3 p.m., the local roads were cleared and closed. Photographers could be seen rehearsing downstairs at the hospital. At 3:22, after completing the ceremony, the hearse, police cars, and Passats all departed. The hearse eventually used was not the one initially decorated, but a larger golden one. Another video shows Li Keqiang's body being transported from Shanghai to Beijing, with some roads in Shanghai temporarily closed. High-ranking Chinese Communist Party officials have comprehensive medical care teams available around the clock. Given the care available to him, Li Keqiang's sudden death has sparked public skepticism. The decision to send him to a traditional Chinese medicine hospital for emergency treatment has faced public criticism. Some netizens on Weibo and other social platforms question, would a state-level medical team be so negligent? Besides, traditional Chinese medicine hospitals cannot perform stent replacement or bypass surgery. Why send him there after a heart attack? Conspiracy theories have emerged, although related comments on Weibo have been censored. A cardiologist from China communicated to Taiwan's Xinchuan media that in Shanghai, Shuguang Hospital is indeed not the top-tier medical institution, with its overall medical standards potentially inferior to Fudan University's Zhongshan Hospital and Ruijin Hospital associated with Shanghai Jiaotong University School of Medicine. In terms of distance from the hotel where Li was staying, Renji Hospital is also not far, and Renji Hospital might even surpass Shuguang Hospital in terms of medical standards. Cai Xia, a former professor at the Chinese Communist Party school now residing in the United States, posted on her X platform account stating, the cardiovascular emergency treatment at Shanghai Zhongshan Hospital ranks among the top 3 in the nation. From Dongjiao State Guest Hotel, there are 3 driving routes to Zhongshan Hospital, with the longest taking 30 minutes and the shortest taking 23 minutes to reach the hospital. The best time for rescuing acute myocardial infarction is within 120 minutes, and the success rate at Zhongshan Hospital is 96%. Where was Li Keqiang taken for emergency treatment? Renowned commentator Li Chengpeng penned a piece on social media platform X, expressing, he has passed away. Right next to him was Shanghai Zhongshan Hospital with a staggering 96% success rate in treating heart attacks, having saved tens of thousands of patients. Do you believe a national leader of his stature could fall into that 4%? Taiwanese physician and author Cai Yicheng analyzed this in a Facebook post on October 27th. He mentioned that sudden death from heart disease typically results from two causes. One is a blockage of the coronary arteries leading to massive myocardial infarction, and the other is arrhythmia causing insufficient cardiac output. Dr. Tsai believes that due to the secrecy surrounding the health status of China's top leadership, it is difficult to ascertain the exact cause of death. He said, however, for a national leader of his level to suddenly pass away due to these conditions is highly unusual. Li Keqiang's last public appearance was on August 30th of this year. As shown in an online video, he visited the Mogao Grottoes in Dunhuang, Gansu, appearing to be in good spirits, even smiling and greeting the public. There were no previous reports of Li Keqiang having a history of heart disease, making the cause of his death perplexing. Li Keqiang graduated from Peking University with degrees in law and economics, and also holding a Ph.D. in economics from the same institution, making him the highest educated premier since the founding of the People's Republic of China. However, during his 10-year tenure as premier, Li was suppressed by Xi Jinping's authoritarianism, rendering him unable to fulfill his ambitions. On March 2nd of this year, he lamented in his farewell speech within the State Council, stating, "Humans do their part, and heaven watches. It seems like heaven does have eyes."
人们常说，人在干，天在看，看来是苍天有眼啊，看着我们国漫同志。
After Li Keqiang's passing, numerous netizens expressed their condolences, referring to him as the people's premier. However, many citizens also labeled him as the most disadvantaged premier. Mysteriously passing away just 7 months after stepping down, Li Keqiang is the youngest high-ranking CCP leader to have died at the age of 68. Although referred to as the disadvantaged premier, Li Keqiang had his own distinctive character. During his tenure as premier, there were several instances where his policies were not in sync with those of Xi Jinping. China's economy was in recession during the pandemic of 2020. To increase employment and address the basic needs of the people, Premier Li Keqiang advocated for the street-style economy, encouraging the unemployed to make a living as street vendors. However, within a week, China's Central Propaganda Department changed its tune, with official media commenting that the street-style economy should not surge uncontrollably. This shift also gave rise to speculations about the Xi administration's attempt to counteract Li Keqiang's policies. Following President Xi Jinping's declaration of a complete victory in eradicating poverty nationwide, Premier Li Keqiang, during a press conference at the end of the two sessions in May 2020, made a surprising statement. He said, "China is a populous developing country with a per capita annual income of 30,000 yuan, $4,129. However, there are 600 million people whose monthly income is only 1,000 yuan, $137. In a medium-sized city, 1,000 yuan might not even be enough to rent a house. Now we are also facing the pandemic, and after the pandemic, people's livelihoods will become a priority." This remark resonated with many at the grassroots level, portraying him as a leader more in touch with public sentiment. In 2022, Xi Jinping strongly promoted the idea of common prosperity, raising concerns that China might revert to its old planned economy. In the same year, just before the 20th National Congress, Li Keqiang, in a meeting with foreign diplomats, stated, "China will continue to follow the path of peaceful development and adhere to the basic state policy of reform and opening up. Regardless of how international situations change, China's door to the outside world will only open wider." Li Keqiang's career, political loyalty, and ideological leanings are completely opposite of those of his rival, Xi Jinping. He is one of the last high-ranking leaders who upheld the banner of reform and opening up, initiated by Deng Xiaoping, the architect behind China's economic boom. Nowadays, the era of reform and opening up is all but gone, replaced by what Xi Jinping calls national rejuvenation and the use of communist ideology to curb the free market economy, revealing a plethora of contradictions in his economic thought. According to Reuters, a government policy advisor who wished to remain anonymous stated, "It's no exaggeration to say that Li Keqiang's death marks the end of a 40-year period of opening up and reform." Following the shock of his death, the public came out to mourn Li. Chinese authorities promptly began to control the discourse, censoring the phrases Li Keqiang and mourning Li Keqiang. Meanwhile, Beijing prevented students from holding collective memorial activities. On October 29th, to prevent public gatherings and protests in Tiananmen Square, plainclothes officers, police, paramilitary police, and national security personnel were on high alert, turning Tiananmen Square into a veritable modern-day prison. The death of Li Keqiang has significantly heightened tensions around the square, with an increased presence of undercover agents and police. Surveillance cameras closely monitored passers-by. Those passing through were frequently stopped for identity card scans by both visible and hidden security posts. Numerous citizens across mainland China have spontaneously visited the childhood home of Li Keqiang to pay their respects. Numerous videos circulating online depict crowds gathering at Li Keqiang's former residence in Hefei, Anhui Province, where the ground is covered in fresh flowers. In addition, individuals have brought flowers to a remote village in Dingyuan County, Chuzhou City, Anhui Province, where Li Keqiang's ancestral home is located. The waters of the Yellow River and Gansu River will never flow backwards. To our esteemed Prime Minister, may your journey be peaceful. I have brought flowers for you. Historically, the passing of Chinese Communist Party leaders has triggered public mourning, which in some instances escalated into large-scale demonstrations against the current leadership. A case in point is the 1989 protests in Beijing's Tiananmen Square, which initially was a memorial gathering following the death of former CCP General Secretary Hu Yaobang in April of that year. The sudden demise of Li Keqiang raises questions about the potential for large-scale civil political movements. Could the events of the 1989 Tiananmen Square incident be revisited? This has led to widespread speculation. Dr. Chung Kao-Wang, a political scientist at the National University of Singapore, shares his perspective. Given the current level of unrest in the People's Republic of China, I would not dismiss the possibility that mass mourning could trigger some form of protest. He adds, the multitude of speculations surrounding Li's cause of death highlights a degree of uncertainty and mistrust, reflecting the public's unease with the opacity and arbitrariness at the highest echelons of Communist Party leadership, as seen in the recent abrupt and unexplained dismissals of senior officials. The societal mood in China is markedly negative, with public disillusionment and dissatisfaction with the CCP and Xi Jinping personally reaching unprecedented levels. Following Li Keqiang's unexpected death, Xi Jinping finds himself at the center of a whirlwind of public opinion. Some netizens have posted links to Malaysian singer Fish Leong's song, Unfortunately It's Not You, in response to Li Keqiang's passing. The song title is being used as a subtle jab, insinuating, why couldn't it have been Xi Jinping instead? American author and journalist Ian Dennis Johnson commented on social media platform X, Unfortunately It's Not You. Chinese internet users are now seizing the opportunity to use the passing of former Chinese Premier Li Keqiang as a means to criticize Xi Jinping. Li Keqiang's death might be linked to internal CCP power struggles. At the CCP's 20th National Congress in August, Xi Jinping's faction, known as the Xi Family Army, solidified its control. Li Xi, secretary of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection from the Xi Family Army, arrested Sun Shigang, former secretary of the Guizhou Provincial Party Committee, who had served for over 2 years. Li Keqiang is alleged to have been one of Sun Shigang's backers. Cai Shen-kun, an overseas commentator, said on Platform X that public opinion believes the investigation of Sun Shigang, a former subordinate of Li Keqiang, has left Li Keqiang extremely dissatisfied, indicating that Xi Jinping is not letting go of Li Keqiang even after his retirement. In fact, over the past few years, officials closely associated with or who have worked with Li Keqiang have been almost universally purged or humiliated. For instance, Li Jia, promoted by Li Keqiang in Liaoning Province, was dismissed from her party and public office in August 2022, demoted from a ministerial level to a departmental level before retiring. Cai Shen-kun has highlighted that the recent investigation and disciplining of the director of the State Tobacco Monopoly Administration seems to implicate Li Keqiang's brother, underscoring an unrelenting purge and cleansing reminiscent of, and perhaps even surpassing, the tactics used by Mao Zedong to target political adversaries. He notes that today's political climate in China is even more enigmatic, with 2 of the 5 newly appointed state councillors being inexplicably removed from their positions. Furthermore, the important economic discussions of the 3rd plenary session have been indefinitely delayed. Tsai expresses concern over whether Li Keqiang's sudden and unexpected death could destabilize the overall situation, acknowledging that although high-ranking officials are under stringent surveillance, there is an intense and growing flame of discontent within the party and military ranks. Tsai points out Xi Jinping's long-standing and public dissatisfaction with Li Keqiang, emphasizing that had it not been for Zheng Qinghong's support for Xi, Li Keqiang could have been the most favored candidate for general secretary, a choice supported by Hu Jintao, Wen Jiabao, and not entirely opposed by former party leader Jiang Zemin. Tsai reflects on Li Keqiang's tenure as premier, describing it as a decade marked by suppression, pervasive monitoring of his associates, and stripping of his financial and personal power, leaving behind an image of a powerless and ineffectual premier. Yaita Hiru, chief of the Sankei Shimbun's Taipei bureau, expressed his surprise on Facebook at the news of Li Keqiang's passing, noting that retired CCP leaders are among the world's healthiest and longest-living individuals, each with their own medical team providing round-the-clock care. He observes that sudden deaths among former Chinese leaders have been rare in recent years. Yaita also mentions the concurrent downfall of Foreign Minister Qin Gang and Defense Minister Li Shangfu, as well as a major reshuffle in the rocket force, indicating a period of turmoil at the heart of CCP power. He suggests that many might speculate about political assassination in Li Keqiang's death, though he refrains from commenting due to lack of evidence. He asserts that even if Li were assassinated, the Chinese government would never admit it, potentially concealing the truth for a long time. Conversely, even if Li's death was natural, the Chinese government's long-standing credibility issues may lead to many citizens to believe in foul play, putting Xi Jinping in an indefensible position. The article concludes by noting the challenges Li Keqiang's death poses for Xi Jinping and the CCP, especially during a time of economic slowdown and geopolitical tensions with the West, and highlights the diverse opinions of scholars regarding potential political upheaval in Zhongnanhai. Wang He, a China expert, believes that the current subtlety and fragility of China's political situation may even surpass that of the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests following Hu Yaobang's death, placing Xi Jinping in a precarious situation. Wang He suggests that there might be political forces seeking to exploit Li Keqiang's death, given the significant contradictions that have emerged within the CCP's bureaucratic ranks in relation to Xi Jinping, leading to widespread disengagement. He notes a propensity among many to believe in the possibility of an assassination or that Li Keqiang died out of frustration, expressing skepticism toward any explanations offered by the Xi administration, as they are likely to fall on deaf ears. Joseph Torrigan, an expert on Chinese and Soviet elite politics at Stanford University's Hoover Institution, shared on the X platform that the timing of Li's death is rather inopportune for the CCP leadership. He points out that some are already suspecting foul play, while others might associate Li's demise to some extent with Xi Jinping's treatment of him or his disappointment with the country's overall direction. Su Ziyun, director of the Division of Defense Strategy and Resource Studies at Taiwan's National Defense Security Research Institute, cast doubt on the official cause of death announced as heart disease, especially given Li Keqiang's seemingly good health just 2 months prior. Su comments on the numerous mysterious deaths within the CCP, state-owned enterprises, and even among high-ranking military personnel since Xi Jinping came to power, viewing Li Keqiang's death as indicative of ongoing internal power struggles. He said, "The unexplained deaths of so many high-ranking individuals symbolize the turbulent undercurrents within the CCP's internal politics." Wang Zhentang, chairman of the National Committee of the China Democracy Party and a former classmate of Li Keqiang, described Li's tenure as premier as rather subdued, attributing this primarily to Xi Jinping's authoritarian rule. Despite this, he acknowledges Li's efforts to speak the truth within his capacity. Wang considers Li Keqiang a continuous source of concern for Xi Jinping due to their stark contrasts and Li's potential as a popular alternative leader. He said, Li Keqiang represents the best substitute, so Xi Jinping aims to eliminate all those who could potentially replace him. Hu Ping, honorary editor-in-chief of Beijing Spring Magazine and a fellow Peking University alumnus, warns that any ambiguity surrounding the circumstances of Li Keqiang's death will inevitably raise suspicions. He believes that the accumulation of such doubts could potentially lead to significant incidents, predicting that internal conflicts within the CCP may unfold in unexpectedly dramatic ways. Hu anticipates that the mounting dissatisfaction with Xi Jinping could subtly transform upper-level conflicts, leading to profound changes once the status quo is disrupted.